Hey everybody, welcome back to your show. This is a Nations of Maker podcast. My name is Andy. Next to me is Ian. Ian, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And joining us tonight is Liz Smith. Hey Liz, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good
We're
to see you.
doing fantastic. Thanks for being on the show tonight. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Hope everything is doing good for you. You're up in Georgia, I'm taking it?
Yes, up in near the Atlanta area.
Near Atlanta.
Atlanta has a couple of suburbs. Just
Yes.
a few, right?
Yes, and I work in Atlanta, so I'm kind of everywhere.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Liz is going to join us tonight for the episode, but we're going to cover some news real quick and stuff that's going around in the Nation of Makers. So, Ian, what we got going on?
Well, I think the big news this week is that the draft agenda for the Nation of Makers conference, NOMCON, was released this week, so you can find it on nomcon.org. Very specifically, you can go to nomcon.org/conference-agenda. It's also available as a link on the main NOMCON page. So what's interesting, there's a whole section of different tracks. There's Ignite talks. You can see a number of things there. And this whole conference agenda is actually being curated by a group of community members who are getting together on conference calls, because Nation of Makers wouldn't be Nation of Makers without a lot of conference calls. That's how we get things done. And so you can actually see those. You can see that. You can join those if you want from the community section right on nomcon.org as well. And we were talking about this the other day. I think it's a good sign, because when I look at the conference sections or sessions, it's actually going to be kind of hard to decide where and which session to go to on any given time. So that's a really, really good sign. I'm glad to see it. Those sessions firming up that way. There's some really good talks in there. Liz, have you had a chance to see the agenda yet?
Oh my gosh! Like, I've seen it because I've been following it through. As a Nation of Makers volunteer, I've been kind of following through where I can and helping out, and just so many great panels. I have no idea how I'm going to pick. Like, it's as a Makerspace organizer, like, I want to go to all of them.
Right.
And so I might have to be strategic with some friends and like do some powwow sessions afterwards, where we kind of break down, okay, this is what I learned in this session, this is what I learned, and so we can keep that, exchange of information going with each other.
Yeah, I haven't seen the formal side of it, but I'm sure there will be a bunch of sharing. And if it's anything like our past convenings, the Google Docs will be flying during the sessions, and there'll be lots of capture there. So again, that's the Nation of Makers convention, which gets abbreviated to NOMCON. It is in Santa Fe, New Mexico, on June 9th and 10th, and we hope to see you all there.
So we are still accepting submissions for the name of our show. We've got some fantastic ones already from Facebook.
Yep.
But we are still looking for some suggestions and some nominations, I guess, from folks.
Nominations?
Oh,
wow! Did you
no,
really do that?
Not intentional.
That was all me.
It was all you.
Yeah. We saw some good ones when we posted the episode 0, our test episode, but we decided we didn't want to name it yet. Let's keep waiting and see what comes out. That's pretty awesome. Again, got some good ideas. Everybody keeps cheating and going NOMcast, I guess, because we did NOMCon for the convention. But I think at some point that'll get old. Like, there'll just be too many.
And I think NOMcast.com is taken, or it's one of those that somebody bought and they want like $5,000 for it.
Yeah, no, this we're if we had $5,000, we'd be spending it on something else.
Lighting. No.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. Okay, all right, I get the hint. He wants more lighting. Okay.
So, is there anything else we got in the news?
I think that was the high point right now. Is that we're heads down. We're heading into. I didn't look at how many days there are left. But it's something like probably 45 or 50 days.
We're
left
barely a month away
until June 9th and 10th, and so there's a lot of work to do, and really working to get the message out and get those undecided people to book some tickets. We're actually doing some family vacation around Santa Fe as well.
Oh, fun!
Carlsbad Caverns is a few hours away, and so that's been on our travel bucket list for a lot of years. So when we saw the convention was in New Mexico, we said, hey, this is really good. So excited to see Santa Fe. There was a video that the Santa Fe team did. You can see it on the Nation of Makers YouTube channel. You can see it on
the Facebook page as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nation of Makers Facebook page. Really, really well done. Got me super excited to see the team in Santa Fe and see all the things that they make. Huge arts town with both installations and performance art. Meow Wolf is out there, and so really, really looking forward to seeing that. So, Liz, how about you? Have you done any planning around your trip yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first thing I planned was to make sure that I had to secure a casita.
Yeah.
Which we're lovingly calling Nama La Casa. So there's going to be, so as you were mentioning that, what I've been trying to drum up on the Slack channel, NOM Slack channel, and on the NOM Facebook channel or page, is to share room space. So like if people, can't afford to go because, the hotels are a little pricey kind of in that area.
Yep.
And so I'm definitely I'm offering, in the casita, if anybody needs some floor space to crash ridiculously cheap to just, price shouldn't be a thing to keep people away because this event is so meaningful, especially when you get people together and, makerspace organizers, it's different. And, we talk to each other on Skype and hangouts a lot, but it's different when we're in front of each other. And so definitely want to if they can make their way out there travel wise, then, they've got floor space. It's kind of so DragonCon's a really big thing in Atlanta and it's my thing. So, when DragonCon comes around, that's kind of the mentality is let's all party together and do our convention.
It's a communal.
Yeah,
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. You're triggering my memory here. You created an additional Slack channel. So there's a NOMCON Slack channel, but then I think you created what is traveling to NOMCON as a Slack channel there. So that's another for people who are in the Nation of Makers Slack. And if you're not, on nomcon.org, there actually is, I think, again, in the community section, there's a place to join the Slack right there, or you can message us or annoy any of us in any number of channels, and we can get you into Skype. Yeah, there. It's interesting you brought up hotels. I also noticed there is just a ton of great Airbnb options out there. There's a lot of really nice small houses and very. I think it's really easy sometimes to travel to other cities and stay in the same cookie cutter hotel, and you wake up and you just have no idea what city you're in. But I feel like we're going to have a really distinct, unique experience in Santa Fe, and that was one of the reasons I was really looking forward to it not being in San Francisco or New York or one of the towns that we or DC that we tend to end up in for these convenings.
Yeah, that's true. The cookie cutter thing, we don't know I've been there. You wake up
what
and
city
there's always
is
hostels. When we went to DC for the first conference, Nation of Makers conference, or one of the, I guess it was technically the second.
The convening, Makerspace Organizers convening?
I stayed at a hostel, and that was fun. That was actually a really unique experience, and I guess I'm trying to recreate that, except with actual NOM organizers, cool. Or, Nation of Makers, Makerspace organizers.
Right.
So that would be really cool. If somebody else wants to do a casita too, they can just bring in all their friends and make it a mini hostel. So it's not just lonely you in a hotel.
All right, so we're getting ready for NOMCON.
I
think that's a good thing.
So, Liz, tell us a little bit more about you. All I know is you're a Makerspace organizer and you're in Atlanta. So tell us all about Liz Smith.
She's involved in quite a few things. Am I right, Liz?
I am. Yes, I'm involved in probably, some people say too many things, but to me, I think it's the right amount. So one of the unique things about me is that
organizers, though, right? I mean, I think we a lot of folks that are in the maker organizer scene tend to be very high committed, get involved, and see an opportunity to help in a lot of different groups, and so So tell us about the Makerspace. So which Makerspace are you frequenting these days?
So many of them. I started off at Geekspace Gwinnett. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, we need some help. You've got some marketing and sales experience. Do you think you can help us? We're about to close our doors in next month."
Oh.
And so, okay. So let me go ahead and investigate. And so I started there, and really my maker story was just like, okay, let me see how you guys do your open house. And in listening to them, I realized that not all nerds know how to market themselves. And so it became kind of my
Very true.
okay, well, let me investigate what Makerspaces do and what's the demographic. Like, what do they want to, what do they want to get into and stuff? Like, how do we want this to go forward? And so it kind of grew from there. And it's really the reason why I am affiliated with so many spaces and different organizations is because I want to get a better idea of like all of the maker experiences. And so you guys, you had like a Venn diagram in the 0 episode of what was it? The entities like the universities and stuff and libraries, and then you had the Maker Faire, I think, organizers, and then also independent nonprofit makerspaces. And you said, everybody that joins Nation of Makers is part of like at least one of them, and I'm part of all 3 in all of the sections.
You're at the intersection. You're the very center.
I'm at all of them,
Venn.
and so I volunteer at Nation of Makers, where I can. I am the assistant manager for experiential learning labs at Georgia State University, so that's my day job. I get to make Makerspaces at Georgia State, which is awesome. I've currently have 3 Makerspaces spinning up and 3 STEM spaces. And then of course Geekspace Gwinnett. I'm also a part of the leadership team for Maker Faire Atlanta, and I am so stoked that I am going to be going to Bay Area Maker Faire this year as a producer in residence.
Oh, you got in that program.
Yes.
Very cool.
Oh my gosh.
Very cool.
I am so excited that I got in because I know it was a limited amount of people that were actually going to go to that program, and it's going to give me all of the knowledge that I need to run a bigger Maker Faire, which is what I'm hoping. I mean, lofty 10-year goal is eventually to be the size of Bay Area, but I don't know yet. I've never been to Bay Area's Maker Faire, so you got to set the goals really high and see what you can achieve. And then I've also part of Overworld Designs. I'm as kind of a loose apprentice in a 3D print and prop shop, and so aka free labor. I do whatever they need. They've got big projects going on, and I go in and I'm just like sanding 3D printing parts and stuff so they can cast them in like different types of resin or silicone. And then I'm also trying to start up the Power Car Racer series again in Atlanta because I really need help, though. So if anybody is interested in helping volunteer for that, I really need help. It's only currently 2 people that are really interested in a leadership role and trying to get that going again. So that's another thing that I'm trying to spin up.
That is a whole lot that you're involved in. That's awesome. I
feel like I needed a whiteboard
to keep track of everything. I did want to go back to something you had said about the makerspace you're currently involved in. They called you. They said, "Hey, we're about to close our doors. We need some help in marketing." And you made a comment that not all, it was either nerds or geeks, know how to market themselves. Were you able to hopefully help them out and help them market themselves and identify the demographic and then talk to that demographic?
Oh yes. So from there I was, after looking at what they really needed, they were like, okay, let's make you the marketing and PR coordinator. And so I became that for 3 years. And now like over that course of 3 years and now 4 years, as a member of the board of directors, it has grown, it has blossomed, and it's gone from a very small makerspace to now like we've got our, the Swanee, is where we're like the small town that we're in right now, or it's not a town, you know what I mean? It's like a small, little, like it's northeast of Atlanta. Okay. They were basically like, yes, please come to our city. So we moved locations. So we're having a grand reopening actually. And we've got a LAN gaming, the Southeast Gamers Alliance that we've been talking to, Alliance, the Southeast Gamers. They've joined us, and now they're going to be, working in our space. And we also have a robotics team. We had an Odyssey of the Mind team at one point. I think that's going to get spun up soon. So there's it's just boomed ever since. I mean, it's all in how you market it. So, it was me literally just going, and not just me, of course, there's a lot of other people that contributed to the success of Geekspace Gwinnett. And just every single time we go to NOMCON or DragonCon, we're promoting Geekspace. And, it's got to be a constant, I created the website and, Facebook and Meetup. And I kind of took it as I would like a client, I guess. And I just was like, all right, let's just make this successful because it is such an amazing idea. And really what it's about is the community. It became a kind of okay, let me just help a friend out, is what it started off as. And then it became...
And then you couldn't leave.
A maker family. Yeah, exactly. It was I don't know how I would live my life without these people. And so, yeah, it was a maker family where we help each other out with projects. We soundboard off of each other all the time. All of us are working on different things for either cosplay or 3D printing, and we're all in the same room and we're just chatting about our days. And it's a great community, and we're hoping to grow that some more. So, yeah.
So I'm getting the sense that the maker movement in Atlanta is doing pretty damn well
pretty
right
healthy
now.
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm still dumbfounded, how many makerspaces. I thought I knew all of them, and every now and then I'm like, where did this one come in? Because
wait, who are they? I mean, good for you, but who are you?
And it's great. I mean, from Geekspace Gwinnett, we've got the Decatur Makers, Freeside, we've got the Maker Station, Forsyth Maker Spaces, and a whole load of other ones. And those are just the nonprofit independent maker spaces. Right. And then the Counterpoint was the one that I just recently found out that was the new hackerspace that popped in. So yeah, they're popping in everywhere. They're coming into libraries and high schools and universities where I work. And so it's amazing. It's great to see this. And it is really the fuel that is keeping me going. And the reason why I'm working so hard, with the Maker Faire Atlanta leadership to really give us, a better foundation for us to grow. And I guess I'll kind of leave it at that. But I've got some stuff in the works.
So while we're on the topic of Makerspaces, you mentioned marketing, and I know from my time with Makerspaces here in Florida, marketing is absolutely a skill that we need to grow within the maker community. I run a digital marketing meetup here as one way to do that. Just share the things that I know, but more than that, just even build a conversation about it. So, what are I'm going to put you on the spot. You got a couple great tips for when you think about marketing for a makerspace, as somebody who's watching this and they're thinking about oh yeah, we got to improve our marketing game. What are a couple pointers you might give them?
I would say the one thing that they're not doing is just creating content. You're already doing it. You're already doing and being a community, and you're being awesome. All it takes is just take a photo and post it. What I like to do, and one of the things that I think really got me on a day-to-day kind of thing, was to not get myself burned out, is to work in threes. And it's engagement, content, and things. Engagement is number one. If your members are engaged, you are doing well. But to do better, take that engagement that they're doing, and the engagement obviously goes beyond just projects. It's the reason to do the projects is to create the community, and that creates the foundation of a makerspace. But once you've got that engagement down, make sure to capture it. And in whatever shape or form your members are interested in. And not everybody wants to do Facebook, and that's fine. Post it on your Slack channel, post it on Reddit, wherever your members are, go there. And then the last thing is thing. So it can be something tangible or intangible. You can end up with a table or shelving, which is not exciting to a lot of people, but to makerspace organizers, shelving is really exciting. And so, and it just gives people an idea. All of these things give people an idea of what you do as a makerspace, as a collective of people. And so that it's, you know, it's really just doing what you do normally and then just telling your story. That is the biggest thing that they could do.
I'm watching Ian as he's taking notes about everything he's saying. This is actually fantastic content that anybody that we all can use, rather. Mm-hmm. Going back, I want to take you back to that phone call you had where they said, "Hey, we're a month away from closing the doors," and you also kind of said that you started their Facebook page, you started their, I think you said Meetup as well. Was this something that they just weren't executing on any kind of social thing, and that's what you did, and that was the biggest thing? Or what was like the biggest thing you did to revive them?
So I think, so it was a lunch that I was having, and he was just brought it up, and I didn't know anything about Makerspaces at all. And at the time they called it a hackerspace, and I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be part of this. And so that was another thing that I brought in. I called it a Makerspace, and I brought in the women. So to be fair. And it is, you know, I brought in couches and soft things so we can knit and we can do our cool stuff and do cosplay. But to go back, what you said that you were asking me about, so they did have their Facebook and they did have Meetup, but the one thing that they were lacking was consistency. Mm. Consistency. If you're going to do it regularly. If you're going to have a monthly game night, put it on the schedule as a monthly game night, and rather than having it as a random thing.
Right.
The first couple of times, not everybody attends, the events, but after a while, they're like, oh, that's been happening. That's a thing. And then people will start. Yeah, it's consistency. Like if you can have regular workshops on the schedule, you're golden. Like that's what people are looking for. They're looking to. We have a lot of people that will admit to me that they've been lurching. They've been like kind of just not really interacting, but they've been kind of stalking from afar, but in not a creepy way, but just like to see what we're all about.
Right. And
they'll see us talking to each other, and they'll see us communicating, and see pictures coming out of our events, and it creates that I want to be there. I want that too, kind of emotion. And so like that's creating those consistent events. It works twofold in creating that community for your current members, and then also for getting some new ones.
And you kind of overlay a little bit in there with your pictures of those events, which goes back to what you're saying about having the camera on hand all the time. If you're going to be putting on these events on a regular basis, you should be, well, you could call it documenting the events, but taking pictures of those events and getting them up on your social media.
Yeah, you got to make it simple. I remember when live streaming first came out, and I thought, who's going to care? And then, nope, turns out, Facebook Live, like I will start up Facebook Live as I'm starting an embroidery machine project. And it's next thing I know, there's 5 or 6 people watching it. And we've had people who come in the door and they're like, oh yeah, I wanted to see the embroidery machine that I saw on Facebook Live. And I go, wait, this actually works.
Yes.
The embroidery machine's more famous than we are. It's just
there is far more capable too.
Kind of awesome.
Far more capable. Not quite as old as us, though.
This is true.
But it's only 20. So anyhow, well, that's good. So how long have you been with Georgia State University now?
11 months.
11 months.
Congratulations!
Okay. Wow, time flies. I remember that was very, very recent. So how'd you end up there? What's the story?
So I was actually kind of sniped from my Geekspace table at it was a mini maker fair at the Georgia State, not Georgia State, at the can't think of the name right now, but it was downtown, and it was like a one-day kind of thing it was at the Capitol. I'm sorry. And so I was at my booth, and I was just telling my now manager, but then like this person I was just meeting. It's like, hey, so this is Geekspace Gwinnett, and we do all of this awesome stuff. And what and the conversation had led to what I do at Geekspace, which is really just building community. A lot of the times Makerspace organizers we complain, but we don't really mean it. Like what we make is the Makerspace. And so, a lot of the time, like most of my effort is like painting the walls or doing whatever it takes to make the Makerspace thrive. And so I'm proud of what I've made at the a Makerspace. And so I'm just telling him all of this stuff. And then he's telling me he's spinning up a makerspace at Georgia State. I'm like, that's awesome. You know, if you guys ever need any help, let me know. And I'm like, wait, do you need any help? Would you like a makerspace organizer to help you with these things? And he's like, here's my card. Help me touch. And it literally took months for him to finally get back to me. So I'm like, ugh, he doesn't mean it. But it turns out it was an HR thing that just took forever to get going. And then for my
academic bureaucracy, really? That's academic bureaucracy. That's a thing. Like it takes a while.
Not allowed to say.
Oh yeah. Sorry. No, don't know what you're talking about.
It's perfect.
Yes, everything very, very quickly. Corporate America's no.
I think it was really just a month or something to spin up a job title, and so he put it out to everybody, not just to myself. As he put it out to a lot of people in the maker community. And for my job, I don't know if y'all are interested in hearing the interview.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So they asked me to show something that I had made, and it had to be something new. So it couldn't be something that like I had made in the past. And so I'm like, okay, and what does this mean? I have less than a week, and what am I going to make? And so
challenge.
Yes, and so hold on. I guess let me just I don't know, show you guys.
Here we go. I am totally hoping, because I was really hoping that she was going to say that she went and showed up in cosplay, like full cosplay
look at
gear.
This. What's she got? Oh, wait.
It's a scarf. It's an infinity scarf and a poodle.
So it is not a poodle. It is a canine Persian.
Oh, there
it
it is.
there it is.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I used to have a toy like that when I was a kid.
But it looks like a purse.
It is. And so for DragonCon, I am all about like being comfortable and being able to put my stuff in stuff. And so like making my props part of my thing that I'm doing.
That is awesome.
And so I made a purse,
a
canine unit. And so for the actual interview, I made this scarf, which is the Fourth Doctor scarf.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew recognize the color pattern.
Just knocked it out in under a week, right? Probably in her spare time. Wow.
I felt like that. The Three Amigos, the movie, from way back. I mean, not way back when, but like there's this part where they're sewing and they're like dun, 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 dun. They're trying to save their lives by sewing. That was me. It's no joke. And so I'm sewing this. Like it goes on forever, guys. I can't tell you. It's a Fourth Doctor scarf, and so it was a no-sew scarf, and I made it and I put it on Instructables, and I got 4.4 thousand views.
Wow.
On it. So
wait. That goes back to you not only made something, you took a minute, you documented it, you put it out there, you told your story, you got good job.
And I helped others too, because they wanted a Fourth Doctor scarf, and I gave them some ideas on how to make their purses too. So it was great.
And
it was a win-win.
It got you the job.
And yes, I mean, well.
You're like, no,
I think even if I hadn't made
got
this,
me the job, but I happen to make a nice scarf too.
So did HR understand what you had made, or were they just like, oh, you made a dog purse, cute, and a scarf?
I didn't have an interview with the HR person. It was actually 5 different people that I now work with. And they were awesome. Good. And they were blown away. I actually put the scarf inside of the purse. And so in the interview, I'm pulling it out and talking and putting it around my neck.
Pull a scarf out of my dog.
And it just kept going. It actually broke the ice. It was great because like, it just kept going and I'm just talking like there's nothing happening. It's fine. And then one of them just like, it just keeps going. Why? And it totally broke the ice, and it made me feel so comfortable just to like, okay, let me just tell you, this is what I do, and I'm a makerspace organizer, and I'm addicted, so sorry, this is who I am.
But I think that's, you're being face value, right? You're saying, hey, hire me for who I am, and I'm this package, and you get all this scarf and dog purse included, right? That's pretty awesome.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
So I know you've also done some design work, right? I think I might be wearing a T-shirt with a graphic that you designed. I'm gonna have to. I think maybe we'll put a like a link to the art or whatever, and people have probably seen it on the Nation of Makers things that we've done.
Yeah, it's the Nation of Makers. You've got it in a lot of places. I've seen that back in where our screen printing is.
Yeah, it's when I did the screen, I tested it and stuck it on the wall. I'm suddenly feeling bad. Did you get one of these shirts, Liz?
I have not yet.
Oh.
Otherwise, I would have been wearing it too, but that's fine. I get to have the original, which was, I don't know if you guys can
out
see
I'm gonna
this.
make another note here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what is it? Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a
So
passport.
this is my Makerspace passport that I made, and I painted this on a little book that I was going to use for just to get my stamps when I go visit Makerspaces just everywhere, and so I put that on my I guess like Facebook and my Instagram, and people were like, "Oh my God, I want this!" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, let me turn this into like a whatever, so that way they can use it for their own stuff." I think somebody had asked me that they wanted to like emboss it on their own Makerspace passports, and so I was like, sure. So that's when I made the vector of the shirt, the thing that you're wearing, and then from there it just took off. Like everybody was like, "I want to make a thing out of this. I want to put it on a flag. I want to, and I'm like, go for it, take it." It's I didn't think it was gonna be. I mean, that was the first time I used Illustrator, so
You did well.
It took off, so I'm glad it did. Actually, I thought it wasn't that good because it was my first time. But
The typical maker.
It's humbleness.
Self-confidence
Yeah, no, it's
issue.
humble. She's being humble.
No, we did some
Illustrators
research
hard,
on that.
man.
We did some research on that a couple years ago, and
yeah.
actually, one of the things that we found is that can be a challenge in the maker community, where people. I think you see so many amazing projects out there that your projects don't sometimes feel like they live up. Meanwhile, and we talked about this last time, right? That I think you have to post your mistakes.
Yeah.
As well. So when you're curating all that stuff on social, right? You curate your failures as well. I was telling Andy a funny story earlier today. So last week I did a bunch of heat transfer vinyl work, and I kept forgetting to reverse the art. I mean, I just kept making the same mistake. So this morning I was driving to the Makerspace, and I had one piece of the right color material, and I was making a shirt for a friend before we went to see a movie today, and I needed to get it right the first time, and I literally drove here saying reverse the art, reverse the art, reverse the art, like the whole way to the Makerspace, because I was so convinced I was going to make that mistake again. But anyway,
You did not make the mistake again,
I didn't.
by the way.
I did it right. Like the first time, it was great. So, I think I think we have to appreciate. Hey, I think it's a great piece of art. You should be proud. So, and
I
we're
am
using
proud.
it.
Actually, people wearing it and really like loving the design of it really makes me feel a lot better about it. And so I'm really proud because everybody wears it and with a lot of pride. And so I'm excited about getting my own cough Dorothy.
Yeah. At bare minimum,
has it.
We'll get you one in Santa Fe, if not sooner. So.
We have to do a road trip to Atlanta soon.
Yeah, well, actually, it's interesting. When Liz was going through that sort of list of Makerspaces, I was thinking, Atlanta's a day trip.
Yep, 7 hours away.
It's not that bad. We could, maybe we take this show on the road and go see some spaces in Atlanta one of these days.
I'm down.
That could
I'm
be
down for that.
We got to get through. We got to get through the Nation of Makers conference, and then it would need to be before our work on Maker Faire Orlando kicks in.
Yeah.
So Maker Faire Orlando is in November. And we've moved around a little bit, so I know we've had a little bit of juggle in the fall with some of the other events, including Maker Faire Atlanta. So we slid Orlando a little later this year, and I was excited to hear you talk about Maker Faire Atlanta. And I know you're closer to that than you have been in the past. Is there anything you can tell us about what to expect with Maker Faire Atlanta this year?
Well, it is going to be 2 days this year. So last year was just down to 1 year. So yes, it's back. And I'm so
you had
happy that you're
a venue, moved venues, and that's a tough year. I mean, anytime you move a venue is a tough year. So is this the same venue? All right. So
same venue as last year.
So you had your learning year.
You are. Say again?
You had your learning year.
Yes, and so Same venue as last year. They negotiated to have two days this year, so thank goodness for that, because it's a lot of work dragging a lot of things out, as you know. And I'm so happy that you said it's going to be in November for your Maker Faire, because I really want to go down, hopefully this year, to the Orlando Maker Faire. We'll see. We'll see. It's a lot of traveling this year. And then what was the other thing? So yeah. So I mean, lots of growth, lots of potential happening. Continued partnerships with Georgia State. Last year they were a really big supporter. So the Southeast Makers Alliance is the one that basically they produce the Maker Faire Atlanta. And so I've been working with their leadership, and I've been kind of like just stepping up more responsibility, and now I'm really taking the deep dive by I'm doing the producers and residents program, and like really getting the nitty to run a large Maker Faire, which I'm hoping that like 10, 20 years from now, like that's where we're going to be. We're going to be, not that I'm trying to take away from you over in Orlando.
No, it's all good.
But,
there's no need to
a
compete.
little maker competition, never hurts.
Yeah. So you've mentioned the producer in residence program. For those who don't know about that, why don't you explain what that program is real quick?
Basically, I'm going to be dead in a week.
Sign me up. Where do we get this?
Indentured labor. Yes.
Yeah. So I looked at the schedule, and it's 12 plus hour shifts, I think, and it's learning how to do stage stuff, ticket stuff, just running around and doing whatever they need, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to get my teeth into that program so I can really understand how I can better support a Maker Faire, and specifically with Atlanta. And so it's going to be no sleep, or it's going to be mostly like I won't remember it. Like, so I work all day, crash, do it again, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so this is producers of community Maker Fairs
Yes.
that sign up and go work as a high-level crew for Bay Area and New York. So those two events are produced by Maker Media. These are 100,000-plus person events. And I've not done the program, but I know a number of folks who did the program last year. They say great things. To your point, Liz, they learn a lot. They take a lot back to their fair. And we've also in Orlando we've had other producers that have come out and spent a few days with us and helped out, and that's been. It's been huge, and they give us some feedback on, hey, why don't you do this, or have you thought about that? And I know one of the reasons that I was working on sliding our event back to into November as well was to maybe free up some of our crew to be able to go to Pittsburgh or Milwaukee or Atlanta. And you mentioned power racing, so we are I'm super excited. I'm actually building a power racer with my 15-year-old right now, and so you need to race a couple different cities to be eligible for the points at the end. And our race here in Orlando is going to be the season finale again this year. So we hope to bring in some of the traveling teams like we did last year and really make for an exciting finish. So I'm actually hoping to get to Atlanta and race with my son if when power racing gets going again. And hey, obviously feel free to come down here if you want to see how we run it. We've got a timer system, and we've purchased some of the things to be able to do it, and we're happy to chat about what works for us and what doesn't work for us in that format. So it's fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And offline, we should talk about the marketing of it, because I've got some new ideas for how to market it that probably would just bore everybody here, but it's exciting to us. It is. I mean, if you've we've all got to geek out about the things that we geek out about, and marketing and swag and promotion. I know we both have a high love for, and we hang out in the NOM marketing channel. So,
yep.
Anyway.
All right. So, Liz, you mentioned you needed some help with your power racing. You're trying to get your team going again. How can people get a hold of you if they wanted to contribute to your efforts there?
So I'm working on creating a whole marketing campaign because I have no chill. Um, just to get Power Car Racer volunteers for Atlanta going. And so I guess for the moment, a good email would be liz@lizsmith.me. If they want to send some like information, like there's just their name and their email. I'm just trying to put some people together that are interested in actually building the thing. So there's a lot of people who already have power cars, but we don't have a lot of people who are willing to kind of just help organize. I mean, I'm sure that they existed at one point and then kind of disbanded for a minute. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out who those people were and if they're still interested and all of that stuff. And so it's going to be me going to each maker space like I have in the past and saying, hey, so looking for volunteers. There's going to be cookies. And so
Hey, the first
it's
year
my
we did
usual
power
vibe.
racing in Orlando, I took my truck and I hit Craigslist and I grabbed 4 used, kids Power Wheels vehicles and just basically dropped them off inside Familab, the Makerspace in North Orlando. And that's where Maker Faire Orlando originated out of, was all the friends and members at Familab. And we basically just dumped them out of the truck onto the floor, and normal maker stuff happened. Next thing I know, there's a high amp power supply and a really long piece of cable, and we're direct wiring, and I'm the tallest one there, so I'm standing there holding the wire up, and they're driving laps around me as we're turning the voltage up, and,
that's
and then
insane.
eventually smoking the motors. But and it's just right. You got to get makers interested. So I know Atlanta has some builders. The good news is I'm sure there's a bunch of cars that will come from Orlando. I know
Awesome.
Nashville's got a big race; those folks can get over there. So, but you don't only need teams that are racing; you need organizers.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
bills
organizers-
are okay, but you definitely want to get like the real barricades. So people.
All right, so yeah,
You know what?
you-
That actually was the hardest thing for us to solve, was getting real water-filled barricades, because these construction companies, they want to rent them for months at a time. They don't want to rent them for a weekend.
No.
And we had called everyone we could think of, and I think the best quote we had at one point was, it was like $7,000 or $9,000, and we said, this does not work for some plastic, water-filled things. And we did Candy and I were driving back from a site visit at the fairgrounds, and you know how like you get your brain trained to look for things? Well, I was thinking about barricades, and all of a sudden my brain just screams like, there's barricades over there. And I'm driving down the road, and I just pulled over in the median, because not a mile from the fairgrounds we found this little rental company that had a whole bunch of barricades stacked up in their parking lot. And I did a U-turn, drove over. Candy's looking at me like I'm nuts. Walked inside. It's a 2-person operation, and the district manager happened to be there that day. And so we hit it off, started talking, and he's like, yeah, no problem. And I think we ended up paying $1,200, $1,400 to rent them, which was just nothing.
I will drive down there.
Yeah, I was about to say
it was. Now they all leaked, so this ended up being the problem, and we know this now. They weren't in great repair, and we made a bunch of we made a bit of a moat. So we got to work on that. But yeah, that we've actually talked about buying permanently. The challenge is storing them. They're huge.
They
I think I might have the opposite challenge. I have a place to store them. I just don't know where to buy them,
I see
get them.
something happening here.
It could be a thing. It could, the Henry Ford owns them. They live in a container. We even Chad from Pittsburgh was working to see if we could, potentially share them in some way. But yeah, I mean that's the thing, and we buy a lot for our fair, and one of the things we've started doing with the minis that have started this year, because Gainesville started a mini maker fair, Jacksonville, Palm Bay, and so we've started calling and saying, okay, what do we have in our big bag of tricks that we could take? So we took pop-up tents to Gainesville. There was a bunch of outdoor stuff, and they saved them from having to having to rent tents. And I think that's a great thing that the community can do for each other, is to loan and to do those things. So we have a hard enough time solving for the labor, right? Much less all the rentals and the other things. But that's exciting to hear that Atlanta's back for 2 days. I look forward to attending. That was always one of my favorite events. So what else is going on with you, Liz? Sounds like you're into a bunch of stuff. So you've got the residency program at Bay Area coming up. So that's your May. Then you've got NOMCON in June, and then you've got a couple months between NOMCON and Atlanta.
Oh, don't forget there's DragonCon in there.
There's DragonCon, yes.
That's right.
Up, yeah.
When is DragonCon?
Is it Labor Day? Yeah, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got MegaCon coming up here in May.
What is it? MagCon?
MegaCon.
MegaCon.
Mega.
Yep.
It's not as big as DragonCon, though.
No, it's not. No, it's
Wow.
not. DragonCon is huge.
Yeah, DragonCon's its own thing. Okay, I got to tell you, I've never been, but the thing that I just find fascinating about DragonCon is the cosplay of the Marriott carpet.
Yes.
So, have you seen this?
Yes, I have.
I mean, this is the most insane thing, that the carpet patterns became so iconic that someone had it printed in fabric and started doing costumes made with the carpet from. It's like
pattern,
too meta, way meta.
When they lay down, you can't see them.
It's camouflage.
You almost trip on them. Actually, I think I almost did one year, but it's like it's DragonCon, and so it's like everybody's like, it's fine, you're good, and so everybody's just about a lot of those things.
And you've done
one
a
of
lot
the things that I'm
for
working on for
DragonCon,
DragonCon. Right? I do, yeah, like light cosplay, not a lot of too much serious stuff. I had a couple of serious builds that I've done in the past. The one that I'm working on right now is, are you guys familiar with Altered Carbon?
Yes.
Yes.
Great show.
Do you know the backpack that I'm?
Oh yeah,
the Hello Unicorn.
Yep, Hello Unicorn.
Yeah.
I'm making that backpack for DragonCon.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's gonna light up. It's gonna have everything besides the actual drugs. It's gonna be candy. It's gonna be candy, people.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna just be giving out candy at DragonCon, and it's a very it reminds me of Nerd Fiesta. So I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and we've got it's like a week-long event, and it's called Fiesta, and it's all about overeating and drinking and just having fun, and it's a family event, and so it's very family oriented, and people go, and there's all kinds of craziness and awesome things to do, and so it reminds me of Nerd Fiesta in this weird kind of like mix of it.
So I'm going to need your pro tips, because I mentioned that after Santa Fe we're going to Carlsbad. Well, after Carlsbad we're going to San Antonio. So.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I have a lot of tips for you. We'll have to talk later about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's mostly like hole in the wall kind of places that are the best places to go and get Puffy Taco. That's it. That's my biggest thing. Anybody that goes to Texas needs to get a Puffy Taco.
I need an explanation on this. I'm a Puffy Taco noob.
So Puffy Tacos they're masa, and their masa is like a corn base, yeah, and it's fried, and so it puffs up and it becomes puffy.
Okay.
And then they put why am I thinking carne? Because I'm thinking in San Antonio.
Yeah, it's meat. They put meat in there.
It's I'm like carne. I can't think of the word. Beef. Okay, there. Beef or chicken, and it's got cheese, and it's oh my god, my mouth is drooling right now.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Favorite
Let's
thing.
do it.
And so San Antonio, we've got a baseball team. They're called the Missions, because we got a lot of missions out in the Texas area. And I'm not even kidding you guys, the mascot is a Puffy Taco.
It's a Puffy Taco for the baseball team.
Not only that, there's two mascots. It's Puffy Taco and Jalapeno.
Oh, jalapeno.
It's a jalapeno, but it's because it's baseball,
so it's
jalapeno.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
I love it.
I think I have to relinquish my dad joke title on that one.
I'm getting my culture lesson here. This is I knew this trip was gonna broaden my horizons.
goodness.
I just didn't know it was gonna give me a completely different appreciation for baseball Mexican food combos.
That is a big combo.
I'm trying to come up with a baseball guacamole joke, but it's just not happening. So
You got to guac it out of the park.
oh. Yeah, save us, Liz. Save us.
I can't.
It's not good.
She's like, I
Not
can't.
good.
Sorry.
So,
But yeah, too bad you're not going during April. Anybody that goes to San Antonio during April, make sure to do it during the fiesta. And it's such an amazing time. There's Fiesta Royalty, there's Kings and Queens, there is a parade, and like
so it's
the
San
people who have
Antonio's
been
Mardi Gras.
It is, yeah. It's Mexican, yeah, Mardi Gras, I guess. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. But it's safer, and it's more kind of family wholesome, if you will.
Gotcha.
Like not as
Mardi Gras as Mardi Gras.
bad as Mardi Gras. Yeah.
Okay, I retract my comparison. When you said kings and queens and parades and
Yeah, I
floats,
get it,
and
yeah.
it's
Yeah. There's
It
all
plays
these
well.
little weird things, like show us your shoes, and they're never wearing like high heels. They're always wearing like flip flops. We call them chanclas. They're or
whole
like
thing
they're flip flops. Yeah, it's so many things. So many things. They you can collect medals, and every year it's a different kind of medal. And then you can have like a whole sash where you're just like you're pretending like you're royalty while you've got your cerveza or whatever.
And I always approach those things. It's funny because I guess we probably are similar. It's the way that those things are made, right? Because all those costumes, all of those pieces have a set of local making cultures behind them. The last time I was in New Orleans, I ended up going to I think it's called Mardi Gras World, for lack of a better name, and I thought it was a theme park warehouse of where they store the Mardi Gras floats. Well, it turns out it's actually the company that makes them. And so you show up there, and I expected to just walk around and see a bunch of floats and pay $20 or whatever. And I turn the corner, and there's a full paint shop. And you get a little further in, giant KUKA robot that does giant foam cutting on a 60-foot track. Just amazing robot. And had no idea that I was gonna see that. And just it was really neat to get a glimpse into how those things get built and funded. And I guess a lot of people see the celebration side of it, but there's a whole making aspect to that that's pretty cool. Generations of people who do that work in those towns.
That actually got me thinking about hats.
Hats?
There's a tradition in San Antonio to where it literally looks like a float on your head. It's a hat, and so it gets really crazy.
I feel like I'm missing out on something here.
Yeah, we just
All right.
have,
Let me just
this
illustrate.
Disney World
Yeah, I
place
know.
here
Yeah,
and
theme parks,
Universal and
SeaWorld.
This was my hat a couple years ago.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness, that's insane.
I see a lot of color. What?
This was small. It was tiny. Wait,
Give us
can
a
you see
scale
it?
sense. I can't really get a sense of.
I mean,
There's my face. That's my hat.
Wow. What was that made of?
Just there's a piñata on there. There's like flowers that light up. There's like it's hashtag fiesta, and all of it lights up because of course, no chill.
LED, all the things.
I LED'd all the things.
You can always
But no, these
add
things
one
they
more
can get
LED.
huge. Like they
Holy
have to
cow.
hold their whole hats down because like it'll fall away. And it's usually during Nyosa, the night in Old San Antonio they'll wear them. And it gets crazy. Like it's usually either something fiesta or Spurs themed. Spurs are our basketball team / religion in San Antonio. And so, I mean, it's close to it, man. Like we've got another weird San Antonio tradition that you might see and you go to HEBs, which are the local grocery stores, are candles. Like the candles that in the Catholic religion where you light them for different prayers and different saints and things. There is a Spurs candle. Like there's multiple different ones of them, and so like on Spurs games, people will light the candles.
That's awesome.
And it's not serious. Everybody kind of like they know it's like it's the running joke and stuff, but they still do it. You know, it's only dumb if it doesn't work.
You know, now I want to make makey candles. Can we do that? Figure out a way to.
We've made giant chocolate makeys.
What's not the makey's not the actual candle. It's going to be the glass that the candle is poured into. So it's got to be. We could laser etch them on a piece of glass.
Oh, you're talking about just like the
the cylinder.
Skinny one.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. We'll have to figure that out.
Gotcha.
We could.
I thought you were talking about like molding. Wax.
No, not quite
makeys.
that much.
I'd be down for that.
Well, I mean, we in Orlando we actually have the Disney versions of those same type of candles for like short lines and stuff. You've not seen these?
I have not
You
seen
pray
them.
to the short lines?
For short lines, yeah, people do that so they can hopefully have a good day at the park and not have to stand in line all day.
I've not seen this.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's making this up.
No.
I mean, yeah, I could believe it.
See?
It might happen.
The fast pass.
There's a good
candle.
Hispanic
The Fast Pass
community
candle.
going on down there, so
Yeah, we have a very
Definitely.
large Hispanic community here.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
Absolutely.
that is awesome. So, Liz, what is like one major thing? I'm going to bring us all back to NOMCON here. I mean, you're awesome. I'm loving everything. I'm getting a San Antonio history lesson here, but and I'm like, this is so awesome. But I want to get it back to NOMCON. So, what is like one of the major things you're really looking forward to in NOMCON? I know there's a lot of stuff that's going to go on. I know a lot of talks, but what is like one major thing you're looking forward to that you're not going to miss?
my most favorite thing about getting all of us together is just the socializing and the networking. Like that to me is gold. Like no matter what like happens in the different tracks that are going on, obviously they're going to still be very fruitful. It's the socializing part. I remember when we went to the White House and, you know, we're there and we're talking about like the different topics and stuff. And we're all like, we're getting into it. Like we're really like focused on, I was in the same room most of the time, except for the very last session. And two, like I was so engrossed in, you know, like at the time we weren't in the White House. We were like the executive suite, something. I can't remember what the wing of it was called. And so I was like, oh, we're not actually in the White House. It's fine. And so like, we're just talking and we're doing and stuff. And we're literally like nailing things down. It's like, okay, somebody busted a laptop and we're going at it. And it wasn't until like the very last session, and we had been talking for hours, that I realized that if I looked out the window, just right out the window, there was the White House. No fences, nothing. Like we were like right there. And so like it was just, I was so into the conversation that we were having, I didn't even realize. And so like that's what it's like for me when I get with other makerspace organizers, is like I want to know what's in your head. I've got a million questions and I don't even know what the question I have is. Like it's one of those, like I don't know how to phrase the thing that I know I need. And so I do myself a lot of stalking on the makerspace organizers thing. Is, you know, people are bringing up like how to track volunteers. You guys had mentioned that the other day. I remember I think it was Liz or Les. It starts with an S or ends with an S. I think she had brought it up about Salesforce, and I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing that existed and that I needed. And so, you know, there's stuff that I follow, and I learn so much in just kind of keeping track of people, because everybody is at their different growth stage of, you know, makerspace organizing. And so, you know, like you can be like up here in how to get engagement and stuff together, but yet you're here and maybe like just actually like Salesforce stuff, like really getting it planned out without you doing it yourself. You know, actually signing people up and you know, letting it be them, you know, automated, if you will. And so it's always learning. You can't learn everything or know everything. And that's my biggest thing, is just like, I want to see what I'm going to learn. That's the biggest thing.
That is awesome. That is, you know, a lot of times I've been at a lot of conferences over the years, and a lot of times you sit through some phenomenal presentations and learn a lot, and then you realize it's not where you learn the most was either in the after parties or in the hallways. And that's where it was like most beneficial.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
tell me what it's really like. I get all this theory.
Right.
Oh, this is fun. Oh, you're changing the world, and we are. But what do we really need to do to get there? So,
well, and you get that mix. I think you mentioned it earlier, Liz, that sometimes it's easy to complain about too much work or too few volunteers or whatever the challenge of the day is. And I think when you get people together in person, you do get that balanced perspective, right? You get to hear what's going well for them. You get to hear what they're proud of. You get to hear, and I think to play off Liz's point, it is those moments where you trip across some piece of wisdom that you're like, I just never even thought to ask the question, never even, it's an obvious answer, but I just never even thought about it. And to not have to solve every problem individually at every space, I think that is the premise of the Makerspace Organizers Group. I think that is the premise of, we've got a group that on Mobilize that supports Maker Faire organizers. And I know a lot of the institutions, whether it's the science centers or children's museums, they have their groups as well that help them, go through and talk about issues and transferring best practices. So you reminded me of something funny, Liz. I had a similar moment when I was at the Eisenhower Executive Center, because there's a room and we're sitting in the room and we're having this conversation, and then all of a sudden I realize there's a portal gun sitting on the desk.
Like from the game Portal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
just making sure.
full on, looks real. And I'm thinking, if there's a portal gun in the Office of Science and Technology Policy at the White House, it might work.
It might work. It might be the thing.
And I'm sure I lost like 3 minutes of whomever was speaking as I was just fixated on the fact that, it's like, picture the president, portal gun.
Drop it down in.
Portal gun. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
So, well, thank you for joining us today, Liz.
Yeah, it's been I've learned so much. You have opened my eyes. I want to go to San Antonio now.
Well, I'm very happy I have a trip to San
San
Antonio planned.
Antonio. I'm a little jealous of that. Hopefully, I get to hang out with you coming up in Santa Fe at NOMCON. I'm totally looking forward to that. We're looking forward now to a road trip to Atlanta to come out and do a little Maker Faire roundup up there. We got a lot on the plate now, and of course, your Power Racing team. We're gonna get that kicked off for you because everybody's gonna see, Liz at LizSmith.me. They're gonna be hooking, getting in contact with you and getting that going off the ground. And look, you've already shared all the information. The tips you gave anyhow, which was have events, document those events with pictures, post those pictures to your social media pipes, and make those events a regular thing. They're going to start off small, but they're going to grow once everybody feels like they're missing out on it.
Yeah, and we have a
Can
marketing
I make
channel.
one more
Slack
shameless
too.
plug?
Absolutely.
Before we go.
Please do it with shame too,
So,
if you want.
one of the recent successes that I've had with specifically with Georgia State University is that we are growing too fast. Like, they hired me for one makerspace, and now I've got 3 plus 3 STEM spaces that I'm managing. With all of this success is such high demand for people to learn makerspace technologies, and so it's a two-bladed sword here. It's like I am growing too fast, but in the same time, I have the ability now to hire people or to specifically learn 3D printing and laser cutting and stuff, and to learn how to maintenance them and troubleshoot them. And so that is one of my shameless plugs that I am going to be looking for. It's probably a little premature, but it's fine. But I am going to very soon be posting a position out for somebody to help me with that.
That's exciting.
Because I can't keep up with it myself, and my student assistants. I have a bunch of them in place, but they're at XLab, and with Georgia State University, we are all over Atlanta, and there's one downtown, and there's several buildings downtown, and then there's some in the perimeter locations as well. We've got 50,000 students.
Wow. And
5,000 staff and faculty that can use the makerspaces and STEM spaces, and so I need help.
All right, so there you go.
It's
Jobs
definitely
for
a good thing.
Yep. So send your resume to Liz at LizSmith.me, and let if you want to get into helping out with makerspaces and growing them and learning everything that goes on and how to fix 3D printers and laser cutters and everything else. So,
is that the best email for a resume, Liz?
That's the one that I'm sending out for public for now.
Good.
I guess if a better one would probably be if it's for a resume to send it to xlab@gsu.edu.
Okay.
So it's xlab@gsu.edu. Okay.
Good.
Yep.
So that's awesome, man. Just so much information. We got a note. We have notes on our notes, which is awesome.
I'm really excited to hear how Atlanta's doing. I think that's there's always a debate about how the maker movement's doing, and I think it's great to hear that Atlanta is alive and well.
And in great hands.
And in great hands,
Yeah.
I agree.
And now we know why they're doing alive and well, because Liz is there running the ship. So
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I think there's a couple other people there.
all right,
too.
Liz and her and the folks that work with Liz. Everybody in Atlanta's doing a great job.
All right. Well,
So thanks again for joining us tonight, Liz. It's been a pleasure. And as I said before, I look forward to meeting you out in Santa Fe at NOMCON.
Sweet, that sounds awesome.
Do we want to wrap it up there?
Are we waving awkward byes now?
hey, you're the pro. I'm waiting for you to tell me what to do.
Awkward byes. and
Awkward
hello.
bye. Awesome. So, folks, don't forget, we are always looking for more information from you guys out there. We're still looking for a show title, so hit us up on the Facebook page or on the YouTube comments. Let us know. Give us those ideas. We have some that are really good contenders, so make them really good name ideas.
Yeah, well, I think we'll pick one in the next week, right?
Yeah, I think we have to, because marketing's got to crank up.
I may have registered a few domains at your suggestion earlier.
Oh,
today,
no.
so
I didn't mean
think-
for you to do that.
No,
I was just pointing
it's
out that
good.
one was available.
Yeah. I always like registering domains. Too many.
Awesome. Yeah, I know how that feels.
All right,
I know how
well,
that feels. Well,
thanks.
thank you for coming out tonight
Thanks
again,
for
as
running another
always.
show.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. And everybody, like we said, looking forward to you guys seeing everybody at the next one.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.